Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here just in a moment, but before we do, the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links can be found in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive in regards to the JRC. That's where we get the bulk of our material from. We also have in there linked the article written by Neuroclastic, where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The same one the JRC threatened to sue them over if they didn't remove it from their website, by the way. So please read the article and share it. We also got Neuroclastic's GoFundMe linked in there in case the JRC ever sees through with their threat. Because unlike them, we unfortunately do not have access to unlimited funding. Trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is very obviously advised. Alright, where we left off, shall we? Okay. Initially, JRC treated JW with positive-only and non-intrusive ABA interventions in coordination with medication trials. Do you all ever stop lying? It's like, if there's a JRC employee who's a true believer and their lips are moving, right? Let's call out the bullshit, shall we? First off, JRC, what you call positive and what the rest of us call positive are two very different things. First of all, they're using one of their old favorite tricks, where they use a similar enough sounding term that the reader doesn't necessarily, the reader will replace with the word that we know. So when they use positive only, most of us in this field would go to positive behavior reinforcement. Okay? Part of its own treatment program. That's not what the JRC means when they say positive only. When they say positively and non-intrusive, they mean in which they do not inflict physical pain on the student. That is all it means. Okay? Otherwise, it is absolutely intrusive. When you come into somebody's room without their consent and begin to move around their belongings, that's intrusive. If you get up in a person's space, grab them by the shirt collar, lift them up in the air, and walk them back into a wall, while simultaneously at least play acting at threatening them, that's intrusive. If I am being deprived of sleep, intrusive. If I'm being forced to wear a belt where small cups of food are around me all day, and if I don't act they're fan-fictionalized neurotypical enough to meet their satisfaction, I have to get up with everybody staring at me and then throw it in a trash can. And then, if you're just not the best performing SEAL ever, the only thing they're going to offer you to eat is protein powder sludge. To someone with sensory issues coming out of their ears. Because, folks, we really will starve ourselves rather than eat something we know is going to be absolute sensory hell. And people like JRC have been around long enough to know that. Less intrusive, my ass. But let's ask you guys. If some random professional came into your home out of nowhere and started taking your things, rearranging them, and removing some of the items, and once they were finished, they would tell you that the items that they took that you paid for with your hard-earned money, that you have to earn those items back by acting in a certain way and only in a certain way that they approve of. Would you find that intrusive? If you're walking in the mall and some random person lifts you up by the shirt collar and walks you back into one of those walls and then threatens you, would you say that that was non-intrusive? If you are being forced to throw away food against your will because you simply weren't being normal enough, or they wake you in the middle of the night to shock you because not normal enough, does any of this sound non-intrusive to you all? Yeah, me neither. I bring it up that way because people like the JRC seem to have no idea what the word non-intrusive actually means or even looks like. Okay? Their positive only means that no physical adversives that would cause physical discomfort or pain were used. That is all that means. Okay? They are being incredibly intrusive. Remember how Jennifer Masamba told us all how they do it? The JRC likes to add, oh no, we tried all the things over several months. Well, Karen, turns out we have this little thing called video surveillance footage, and that is a bald-faced lie. What happens is you give kids free reign of the place for a solid week, with someone with a notebook either following them or watching them through the video surveillance cameras, writing down every little thing that's just not near typical enough, using extremely vague terms and leaning heavily on trying to alarm the judges, so they'll just nod and agree with whatever they're suggesting. Okay? So much for their positive only. And with medication trials, JRC, you can't go back now in the year of our Lord 2025, where one of the big things you have harped on for decades was getting kids off medications, and then come in here with this case and say, but we gave medication trials. Okay, you want to prove that to me? Considering how anti-big pharma the boogeyman you all are? Where's the documentation? Don't worry, I'll wait. With that documentation, how long of a period of time did you wait while observing to find out if the medication was going to work or not? A week? A month? 2 months? 3? How long did you wait after the medicine was prescribed before you made the determination that the medication wasn't working? And also, which medication was it? Because you've already listed 3 other people's lists of medications. You're not mentioning any here. So, knowing your history, JRC, knowing that one of the goals that has been stated over and over and over again since Dr. Israel began this insanity was the goal was to get them off of all medications. Unless you can put documentation in front of me with all the observations and over how long a period of time that those observations were taking place and how many different minutes for each observation in front of me right now, I'm going to call bullshit. I'm going to call major bullshit and continue to be absolutely amazed that the JRC continues to get away with this. Because out here, if I tried to make any claim like that in defense to one of these programs out here, they would pull video surveillance footage and snip one to see if the cameras back up their words. 1. Number 2, they're going to find out what that medication is, why it was prescribed, and what is it supposed to help with. They're going to want detailed notes regards to the observations that were taken by direct care staff, by the video monitoring folks, by the teachers and classmates. Okay? They're going to ask for that. At least out here they do. And yes, you have to tell them exactly how long you remained observing in regards to that medication. Because time is key. You're not going to be able to determine by the end of a singular week whether a medication is actually effective or not. Things take time. The JRC is giving me nothing here that tells me that they did the proper observations or waited an actually reasonable amount of time before they just up and declared that the medicine didn't work. Okay? I'm sorry, but I don't operate off of just trust me, brah. I operate off of facts. If the JRC does not have proper documentation, not to show to me, but to the FDA, everybody else, then I'm going to have to lean on that is absolute horseshit. And the more likely scenario is, during that time period of that singular week where they give them full reign of the school, That was all you did in regards to observations, in regards to whether the medicine was working or not. And because it wasn't a miracle pill, you determined, well, obviously, the human shock collar is the only choice. It's see-through as glass. How they can get away with piss-poor documentation and judgment calls in regards to other parents. These are not their kids. Okay? If I were put in a residential place in my school years, and that program completely removed my medication from me, my mom would demand to know why. And because she works in the healthcare field, all those points I just said would be in the documentation. She would demand it on the table. Okay? Sorry, Karen. I'm not buying what you're selling. Your past precedes you. Okay? Not to mention the multiple media outlets covering Dr. Israel and his insanity that have actually caught him saying those words to get them off of all their medications. Okay? Yeah. So, the JRC is playing fast and loose, trying to use similar sounding words so that the human brain would fill in where they have positive only with positive behavioral reinforcement. It's a little tool they've always used, because then that means legally they can argue back, but that's not what we said, so you can't hold us to account for that. Sorry, I'm not a court. Yes, I fucking can. Sorry, not sorry. And anybody in their right mind that would define ABA is non-intrusive, I'm gonna need to be introduced to your drug dealer. Because that must be some special shit. This is why I tell you guys that we use profanity on this channel. Comes with being an army brat raised by a truck driver. Just saying. So, let me continue here. These less intrusive means of treatment included deferential and primary reinforcement, a reward system, tokens, fines, verbal no, redirections, manipulation in environments and demands, loss of privileges, escape extinction, and prompted task transfer. These are all things we've already been over and gone over in detail. They are intrusive. You come into my space without consent and began rearranging things. That's intrusive. You enter into my space without consent and act in a threatening manner towards me, whether it's part of your bizarre behavioral rehearsal lessons or not. That's intrusive. If you make me wear a belt that holds styrofoam cups of food, open air, by the way, not refrigerated, not maintained in any sort of way. And if I'm not acting neurotypical enough in their eyes, I have to get up where everyone can watch me and throw away bits of food. That's not intrusive. If you create a meal that is so profoundly special level sensory hell, to make up for the calories they're missing for making them throw their food away, knowing while doing so that we autistics, unlike the neurotypical population, would and could, and probably definitely did, starve ourselves before subjecting ourselves to that level of sensory hell. That's intrusive. It's very intrusive. What you mean by non-intrusive, JRC, is that there was no physical pain inflicted upon the student. And that is literally all it means. For the love of God, can we just admit that much? Please. It is absolutely obnoxious going through these things, and they're saying the same shit over and over and over again. And since I'm going through these things in detail, I have to continue to repeat myself over and over and over again. There's a reason I like to front load and take a long break afterwards while putting videos up each day. And that's because you really can only take this stupidity in small doses. Alright, so AJRC, I do not believe for a single fucking second that you vetted whether the medication was actually effective or not in a way that would make any form of coherent sense. I know for a fact, due to the other students who have been speaking out about your insanity since 2002, that literally everything you do is intrusive. So yeah. I don't operate off of distrust me, bruh. I operate off of what we already know about the JRC's past, what we know about what their founder preached, and the fact that the people who are running it now are his acolytes. I will continue to call bullshit unless there is proper, detailed documentation and a decent time frame, and I don't mean a week, that can show me that this was observed over a period of time so you can have actual justification for calling to an end the continuing of taking that particular medication. And in those details better fucking be why that medicine was prescribed in the first place, what it was actually supposed to help with. Okay? Sorry, I'm a little feisty today, but my God, stupidity pisses me off. We're going to go ahead and close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all again here in a few minutes. Goodbye, everyone.